Jeff, ArizonaHotHomestead. Gotta stay tuned to see what I'm doing. What the heck is that? Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Jeff with ArizonaHotHomestead. So work continues, and one issue that I got is how to tie this barn behind me in with this room that I built here. So let me kind of show you a little bit of what I'm looking at here. So when I built this room, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, how I was going to tie it in with this barn here. So we just built around this for now, and what a mess, right? So, but I still had to solve that problem, because one thing I look at is I don't want to look at this wall and have this thing hanging out. I like it to be a straight up wall, so it kind of looks like it was meant to be, not like I rigged it up. So the thought is, if I could just slice it off and then put a finished product on that wall, then it'll look really cool. It'll tie it all together. So that's what this is. This is the start of it. That is just sitting there. I wanted to make sure that my studs there were the right height. Make sure that fit underneath that rafter. But this actually is turning out a little bit easier than I thought. When I started over here, I just cut a big hole. And I kind of guessed whereabouts it would be. I ended up having to cut it a couple times. And then eventually I figured out where up here, and then I just kind of measured and lined and went with a couple feet over, and then I drew my line, I cut it and checked it. It was all perfect, so I just kind of continued it. So I'll do a little section at a time. So to finish this will probably take at least 2 more sectional cuts, if you will. But as you can tell, these rafters that go onto the barn, I had to cut the edge off there, and then they had these sticking out, see, like this here. So I had to cut these off here. These were vents, basically, which were fine, but I don't need them, because I need this wall to go straight up. So now we'll go straight up. I got something to nail onto. I got these here I can nail onto. Yep, Concho agrees. I got the door closed. He's yelling at me because he wants to go outside and chase rabbits. So, stay tuned as I finish cutting. So one of the questions is going to be, how the heck am I cutting that stuff? Well, here are the tools I'm using to cut. I got this saw here that I would adjust this depth to the size of that OSB on top, and then I would cut it across, and then down below, so to cut this piece right here, I already had an idea of whereabouts this was, so I just used a straight edge. Just what that's levels there. I used the straight edge to go across, so I had an idea. But this blade was a perfect length, so all I had to do was use this and watch how this was writing on the edge, right on the edge of this board here. So like right here, I got a little excited. Like right there, I got a little excited and cut into it more. But basically, I just ran it right along the edge there, and I figured as long as I was on that edge, then I was doing probably pretty good. So the skill saw would only go so far, because the guide, or not skill saw, the jigsaw, because the guide would hit this board here. And I didn't have this on yet, so it would hit this. So I would have a little section I would need to finish. Well, that's where this came in. So I got this blade set so that I could basically use it, how are we doing? Basically use it like this to cut down, and then I would just cut it, and that worked out really good. One of the reasons why I didn't use this to cut the entire thing is because this blade being so long, what I learned is that the blade will bend a little too much, and so one side might be a perfect cut and then the other side will bow out a little. This does the same thing, but it doesn't do it as much. So I did this to start and this to finish it, and it actually worked out really good. It's so much easier than I thought it was going to be. I got this cut back to here. That's just with the skill saw. And now this, if you look closely here, that's the blade. So I've just been guiding it right along here for this cut, not paying attention to the top part, because so far the experience is just fine. Normally when you use the jigsaw like this, the jigsaw blade is flexible, and normally this ends up being more out than this, and then I can always go back and trim it up if I needed to, but it should at least give me, so far it's been giving me nice perfect cuts. So we'll continue to do the jigsaw again. I've just been guiding it right along this edge, just like you see here. And then with the reciprocating saw, I'm just taking the blade down here, and I'm having to bend this blade to get it up as close as possible. So the cut's not going to be perfectly straight, and then I'm rocking it back and forth to help get this thing cut. And then I'm going over to the other side and doing the exact same thing. And then the next is I'll go up here and I'll cut straight down. So it will look like that right there. Now, I got a little anxious, whatever. I overcompensated. So this is cut way back further than it should be. But that's going to work out okay, because this here's still flat right here. And then when I go to put the stud will go right up here, and that'll still be a nail plate. So that's not going to be a problem. That nail, I think I'll leave, because if you notice, that should be okay there. There's going to be no problem with that. So let's go and do this one here. Now this one has another beam because of the loft up there, which is going to be fine, because we'll just still cut this right here. So it just means I'll be like cutting two of these instead of one. That's all. No big deal. I don't know how well it comes out, but there's a little bit sticking out on this one here that I cut. Let me show you how I trim that off. With this gadget here, I call it a vibrating saw, because all it really does is just vibrate. So what I'll do is I'll just trim this up and cut into it and trim it down. So that's basically all we'll do. Got the framing up. It's nailed to the rafter there, and then these guys are just nail plates. And here's why, because nothing's ever straight on Homestead. I've got an overlap there on my ceiling rafter, but see, then it goes away. And then now it's behind it. So if I go to put my OSB or whatever I use for my ceiling, it's going to just flap right there. So those guys are my nail plates. So these are a 16 on center, and then over here I can just nail right onto the rafter. So I strung my speaker wire. That's what that is. So speaker wire will come through the wall here. And what's this here is just a holder. So when I take this board here and I put it up here, because I'm by myself, I can just rest it on there, and that will act as another hand. So now I'll have a complete wall going straight up, and I think that looks better than having that barn little lip thing that it was there like you saw at the beginning of the video. So there you have it, folks. I'm not going to show you the finished product because I'm not going to finish it. I got it all set, ready to go. But I'm going to end up putting wood planks up here, some tongue and groove. So when I do that, then that will also go up on top. There'll be a shelf. There'll be a shelf right along there anyhow. So even though that sticks out further, there's going to be some tongue and groove or something up there and some down here, but there'll be a shelf that will be right at that joint. And so you'll see that when it's finished. So you have to subscribe to catch that. But in the meantime, see you if I have fun. Thanks for watching.